Hey y'all, so welcome back to another Project by Jay. For today's project we are guests. So yeah, we are redoing the belt, replacing the tensioner, and then while we're at it we're also going to be replacing the water pump. And the main reason is that I'm still getting noises after I changed it the first time. The car still runs fine, coolant temperature, everything is still fine. It's just that it's making noises from here, and it only started in the morning when it was cold, but now it does it consistently. So yeah, I figure might as well, it's time to change it and get rid of this, or fix this problem once and for all. Don't have to come back and do this anymore. So this is how the sounds like. It's just the car at idle. All right, so first things first, what you want to do is just go ahead and start draining your coolant. So for this one, you're going to be on the driver's side. You're going to go underneath, and there is this little cutout right here underneath. And then you're just going to reach in, and the drain plug should be right there. So all you're doing is just untwisting it. And then once you get that to start draining, just come up on top and then slowly open this cooling cap to let out the flow from underneath. So once you get to that, you should be able to just leave it, and then majority of it should start trickling down. And here you're not trying to get everything out, right? You're just trying to get it enough to where once you start doing the water pulley on this side, there won't be that much coolant rushing out. So yep. All right, you guys, it is now the next morning, and I've been letting it drain overnight. So now we're going to go ahead and jack up the two fronts, get it high enough to where I'm able to take off the wheel on the other side. And then once we get that supported, jack stands and everything, we'll start coming over and start removing these stuff. So let's get to it. And here you can see that I'm moving the drain pan out of the way so I could get my floor jacks underneath the car. And here I'm just jacking up from the bottom of the frame, so that's why it's going further into the car. And then you guys don't see it in this video, but I do have the two back wheels blocked off with two wood blocks. And then here I'm jacking them up, making sure, doing the shake test and everything. And then now I'm able to go and take off my passenger side wheel. Alright, next, moving on along to this side where we remove the wheel. You're going to take off these two clips right here, and then you should be able to get access to this, the pulleys behind there. So we'll go ahead and do that. So I had to speed this frame up just a little bit. I didn't realize that I put it on regular recording mode and not in time lapse. But basically these are two clips that you have to take off to even get access to the pulley. And you could decide to take off this flap, but I just bend it down. Alright, so first I'm gonna go ahead and remove the motor mount that you guys see right here, and I'm gonna come underneath with one of the jacks and support the underneath of the engine. And the reason being is the tensioner's right here somewhere, and in order to fit the wrench inside, the mount is actually in the way. So we're gonna go ahead and remove the mount while keeping it supported from underneath. All right, so now we got that mount out of the way, we should be able to fit in our wrench and hit that socket on this tensioner pulley right here. So someone in the comment also mentioned that you could come from underneath right here, but I have tried, especially with the wrench that I have, and it just wasn't gonna cut it. I mean, just look at the clearance between the pulleys and the frame of the car that I have right here. Not much room. So I decided to abandon this idea of coming from the bottom and just do everything from the top here, which in my opinion I feel it's a lot safer just to be out of the way, especially with now that I removed the motor mount. So yeah, so I'm gonna keep doing the one from the top. And here I just took a long 14mm box wrench and was able to fit onto the tension and pull it towards me. Okay, now that I got the belt off of the power steering, I'm gonna leave the belt for now, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start unbolting the bolts for the power steering pulley right here. So we're going to get all that, and then so we're able to lift out the power steering and just put it to the side. You don't have to disconnect any hose. So this way you don't have to try to bleed the power steering system later on. So we're not detaching anything, we're just removing the pump and setting it off to the side. And here you can see I took a 10mm and started removing the bolt on top for the power steering holes, just so that way I could loosen it and just get it out of the way. And alright, so now removing the power steering pulley, and the first one is this one right here. You see I already got it unbolted. And then the second one is underneath. You can't see it, but if you take your hand or your fingers underneath, you should be able to feel another one. Like right here where my pinky is. That's the other one. And here I'm going for that second 12mm underneath. You can't see it, but you should be able to reach it with a long 12mm socket. You're able to use a regular ratchet, but I went with the electronic just to make it easier. Okay, that took a little finessing, but as you can see, it's only just 2 for the power steering pulley. And then next, just to give myself more room, I'm gonna go ahead and take off this tensioner pulley. I mean, the whole thing's got to come out anyways, but I'm gonna go ahead and loosen that so that way I have more room to work with. And here I originally started with trying to take off the pulley first, but then I didn't have enough room, so eventually what I had to do was completely remove that whole motor mount to give myself a little bit of room. And then I just ended up taking off the 3 bolts holding the tensioner left, and those are all 14mm, so once you get that, the whole thing should come out. Alright, so in order to get this out, my original idea was just to take off this pulley, but I didn't have enough room to pull out this screw because it kept on hitting on the edge over here, which forced me to take out this motor mount from here in order to give myself some room in this area. And then there's actually 4 screws holding tension in. One is this middle, that's 2, 3, and then the other one's 4 right here. So as you can see, I have a lot more room now. And then this shiny part right here, that's actually my water pump, the one that we're going to be replacing. Which, if you guys look at how much room I got to work with, it's not much. So this is going to be pretty fun. All right, so remember how I told you that after I installed the semi-new one, that it got less squeakier, but then it was still making noise. Listen to this. All right, now listen to this new one that I got. Don't hear nothing. So somehow this was on its way out. That's probably why I was making noises. But yeah, it's a good thing I got a new one. So we're going to be replacing that anyways. All right, now that we got all these components out of the way, we're just going to go ahead and remove the belt, which you should be able to get it from underneath here. Everything should be loose on top already. You should be able to just pull it out. Some people, especially if it's broken, you could just cut it when you take it out. But me, I usually like to compare with the new belt that I get, make sure they're all the same size. So it got hung up a little bit up here, so that's why I chose not to cut it, just so I could do a size comparison with the new one. All right, here we go. All right, so next we're going to tackle is the water pump, and you guys can see here there's roughly 3 10mm. It's kind of caked up, but it's 3 10mm on top right here that I could see. And then I was told that there should be some inside the pulley too. Hold on, try to give you guys a better angle. Behind this pulley right here. I don't really see any, huh? Okay, that's one right there. And it should be all kind of around, so apologize for the angles I can't really get. But yeah, somehow we're gonna try to finesse those out, pry off the old water pump and then put in the new one. And here I'm just taking a regular ratchet with a short 10 mil and just removing those top 3 10mm bolts holding down the water pulley. In the video, they're all caked up and gunked up, so you couldn't really see, but there's 3 on top and then there's also 3 on the bottom that you should be able to reach, but it takes a little planning to get the rest of the other 2 on this part. Alright, as you guys can tell on camera, it looks like there's room up here, but there's no way I'm able, because you need a deep socket, so there's no way I'm able to fit that deep socket in and get the ratchet in on top of that to loosen it too. So I'm thinking we could just drop this subframe down just a little bit, or lower down the engine just a little bit to get the pull into this opening right here, so I should be able to have some room. So that's what we'll do. All right, so I went ahead and loosened the subframe bolts. As you can see, it's still on there just for security measures. The other one is right here. Make sure you don't get this one, because this one is actually for your suspension. So with this one, I did hit this first, which I shouldn't have, but now I can't tighten it until I put the wheels back on and put weight on it, drop the car and everything, and then I could go back and tighten it down. So that's gonna be for last, but it's the same thing on the other side. That's not the one, it's somewhere over here. And then I should be able to just lower it a little bit, enough that I should be able to get the pulley through this window and start loosening those bolts. All right, now I got a little bit more room. I'm gonna try to see. The first one is right there in that slot. And all right, here we go. So with this one, I had to basically drop the subframe just to lower it a little bit, so I'll be able to have access to that one. And then the other one was a tough one, because I really had to drop the subframe on this side. And then it only came down just a little bit that I was able to put one of those universal adapter with a 10 mil to able to reach it, and finally broke it loose. All right, that last bolt definitely took me a while. The original plan was just to lower the subframe a little bit, but as you can see, it completely took out. Well, I had to completely taken out both the 2 on this side, and then the ones on the other side over here. Over there, I just lowered them to where like 2 or 3 of the thread was just catching on. And then as you can see, the jack is still right here supporting the motor. And that gave me enough room to finally get this one over here, the one up there. And then all that's left that's holding it is just the top one right there, that top screw. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen that, and then in a sense it should still be on, so you're probably gonna have to grab a flathead and then pry it loose, and coolant's gonna come out, so that's why I got my catch tray down there to catch any coolant. All right, kind of one-handing right now, so right now I'm just loosening the top screw. And I think there should be 6 in total. I don't know where I put the other 2, but I'll find them later. But anyhow, you guys can see there's that. Now I'm just gonna grab a flathead, kind of just pry it loose. So originally I was gonna go from the top right here, but kind of remember that with the metal flathead you could score it too, so I just went behind the pulley right here and pulled, basically pried on it with the pulley, because I know I'm not going to be using this part anymore, so I don't want to damage the place where it mounts to the engine. But the water pump, it's getting removed, And I found the other 2 of the screws, so there should be 6 total. And let's see. So, completely. All right, so let's see if it's making any weird noises. Sounds pretty smooth, but I could feel it when it turns. There's a little bit of wobbly. Well, anyhow, since we already got a new one, putting in the new one anyways. So this is the old one. And just reverse order install. So, what you want to do is take maybe a brush or something and then kind of just clean off the mating surface for it on that side. As you can see, it just kind of goes in like that. All right, so I'm just taking a towel, paper towel, and just kind of just wiping around the edges, making sure none of them get into your cooling system. Sorry for the bad angles, but just trying to clean as much as I can. And I already did the top side already. Just didn't record that, but all right. So now for the new one. This is the water pump I got off of eBay. Roughly 40 bucks. Like this, and then also came with the gasket in another separate bag. So I'm just looking on this inside. This inside looks a little different from the original one. Looks smaller. For the most part, it's smooth, not any weird vibrations, so we should be good. This one should fit in like that, and you do have these little grooves right here to catch it too. So make sure you put it on correctly. And unlike the old one, because the gasket was a little old, the gasket was a little flush. When you put it on, your gasket should be sticking out a little bit, and that's what's going to create that tight seal. But now that it's sitting right there correctly, I'm just going to match it up with the original one and make sure everything, all the mounting holes are all the same. All right, size comparison. I don't know, but to me, it looks like the original. This is the original, got bigger fan blades, as you can see. Or it might just be an optical illusion to me. I don't know. But to me, it does look like the original one has bigger fan blades. Alright, so to put the water pump back on, it's just a reverse install. I didn't show on camera because it was a pain to get to, especially the tightening part. But after you do that, especially if you got dirty hands like me, you want to go ahead and just wipe off the pulley, spray some Simple Green on this towel, and then just kind of wipe it off. And then I went around with the plastic wire brush and kind of just clean off the pulleys as best as I could. It's not completely 100% clean, but yeah, everything else is just reverse install. So next, this is the old tensioner. Next is installing the new one, which will go in just like this. And then once we get that done, we'll put on the new belt. And the old brand I got was from O'Reilly's, which is this is for the Serpentine belt, which is the Micro V version, and this time I went with the AC Delco, and that's the part number right there. So once we get that done, everything will get reverse install, and hopefully that squeaky noise goes away. All right, I didn't show you guys me plugging everything back in, but pretty much it's reverse install. The only thing I had trouble on is because I'm adding a new belt. Usually the new belts come, you know, they're not stretched out yet or anything. So you do have to get a two-man person. What we were able to do was we were able to pull the tensioner out this way, maxed out, so it was loose, and then what I did was just hung it by the lip right here around here, because you won't be able to get the whole thing over the power steering. So all I did was just hung it around the edge, and then went down here, and if you see that hole, that goes to your crank pulley, and all you're doing is just taking a 19mm socket and just turning it by hand, slowly rotating the belt along with it, and then while someone's down there rotating, you just have someone up here just keep pushing the belt in until it gets all the way onto the pulley, just like this. And then once you're done, you just button everything back up. So see, we got the motor mount back on, we got the tires back on already. So went ahead and jacked up from the bottom of this tire, maxed it out, and then kind of to symbolize that, you know, like the tire is sitting on the ground, and then I went ahead and tightened this nut down, or the bolt. And yeah, last thing to do is just fill up my radiator and bleed out the system, and then we should be good. All right, we're now filling up the coolant reservoir. What you want to do is, not the coolant reservoir, that's the coolant reservoir, filling out the radiator. And if you get one of these funnel kits, these are actually more helpful. That way it pretty much self bleeds the system. You don't have to, you know, manually bleed it or let it. Basically, if you fill it with this, there's no way that air will get into the system, right? If that makes sense. So it kind of do itself. And yeah, anyhow, once you're done, just give it a once look over, make sure you didn't miss any tools or sockets or leftover screws. You know, the worst thing where you're done and you're like, where all these leftover screws come from? So and I'm just using regular store brand coolant. I'm not too worried about, you know, Honda specific coolant. So this is a 50-50 diluted, so I don't have to dilute it with water. Just pour it straight out of the coolant. And also don't forget to go ahead and tighten down your radiator drain, which we already did, but just a heads up. As you can see, it's getting all the air out of this system. All right, so once you get to the point where it's kind of, you know, the radiator is kind of filled up, leave it like that. And what you want to do is go start the car so it starts circulating the coolant all throughout your engine. So let's see how it sounds. Nice and smooth, no squeaky noise. Oh shit, I forgot, I gotta tighten that back down, so about to do that. All right, and you can see it's circulating, so it's getting to the engine. He's gonna keep pouring while I tighten that down, but as you can see, no more squeaking noises. You also want to check on the bottom, make sure there's no water leaks or anything. So you see these droplets, those are from earlier. But so far so good. All right, so once you get that going, what you want to do is go inside your car And you're gonna let the car run for at least 10 to 15 minutes, right? So, oh, there's a spider. So anyhow, turn on to the hottest setting. You'll let the car warm up too. As you can see, the car water temperature, we're at 181 degrees. This is for my car, this is normal operating temperature, but I could tell the coolant is not through the system because it's not hot air, it's still cold air that's blown, so still gotta let it circulate itself. On max, highest heat setting, fans on max. And you're just gonna let the car run. Basically, you know you're good. And coolant's through the whole system when both of your, I have 2 fans right here, when both of them turns on and start running. Alright, and with that being said, that is the end. So this project roughly took me about 4 hours with recording and all that to complete. It might take you less if you're not trying to record also, but it does help getting an extra person to help you out. Last but not least, just double check the car for any leaks and take it on the test drive. And if this video helped you out, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until the next video, you guys, take care.